We can start, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Ganeshaya Namo Namaha. Shri Ved Purushaya Namo Namaha. Shri Bhakti-Devyai Namo Namaha. Shri Saraswatyai Namo Namaha. Shri Angirasaya Namo Namaha. Shri Kapilaya Namo Namaha. Shri Gargaya Namo Namaha. Shri Vedabhyasaya Namo Namaha. Shri Dharmaya Namo. Shri Matra Sakyai Namo Namaha. Om Sri Radha Krishnabhyam Namo Namaha. My humble namaskar to all the audience and my gratitude to Rajiv Burman ji, Shruti ji for having this course possible and gave all of us an opportunity to listen to ponder upon the ancient wisdom under modern or what you call contemporary social, religious, political conditions. So I will request every one of you to join in this journey. And this is the second lecture in this journey. And I will request all the audience, please enlarge your consciousness and relax and see what we have to think about, talk about. You may find some new narratives, new articulations, new ways of looking at, as well as new dimensions in this entire field during this journey. So I want you to be aware of. Also, I request all of you, please keep asking questions, making comments, because that may enhance and enrich our mutual understanding, which is a precursor toward actualizing the fields of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. This is the last topic we were talking about. The central image of Vedic Sanatana Dharma is Yagna. And last time we detailed out some of the prominent aspects of the Yagna tradition, which now becomes what you call Havan tradition or home tradition. But many of those ideas, many of those procedures, much of the authenticity has been lost, and we may never be able to regain. It's an unfortunate tragedy. Please note, in the Yagna tradition, all dimensions, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, Adi Devik, all dimensions come into play in a yogic integration way to reenact the original union and original unity of different aspects of our existence. Within the same context, those who are very much questioning the ancient wisdom under contemporary context, and they believe they are more scientific than our ancient wisdom used to be. I just want to remind you with this one slide here. This is one of the foundational doctrines of Vedic wisdom, which is unique and universal. The Prakriti is the creative matrix of our existence. However, under the control of Purusha and Purushottam, that manifests through the web of dynamic, interdependent relations between the divine, human, non-human beings and the material world. Look at what the contemporary scientific statement, which is coming out very forcefully for last 5-6 years. The nature manifests the universal web of creative connectivity and mutual correlation between its all members, living and non-living. The Vedic doctrine encompasses all the realms of existence, not just the visible world. The contemporary scientific understanding that had been focusing only on material aspects of the visible world, how they are interconnected and how they are correlated. But the Vedic wisdom tradition go beyond the visible world into the realm of divine world, invisible world. So concluding thoughts from previous lecture, I have summarized over here. The yagna represented by Agni, the center of social life of Rigveda, and essential prosperity of society and for all, good all. So Agni was the primary vehicle and Devata and Hotra. The entire the yagna tradition was centered around the Agni Devata, and we have talked about length last time, different dimensions of Agni Devata. So Agni is the center of creative classes of Vedic society, poets, patrons, and priestly families. Yagna is Brahman. Human being is yagna. So the entire body is yagna. Play of universal drama, ritual, and dramatic image, which is really the also original source of North-South. We will pick up this topic later on. Yagna is the weaving of universal fabric. Every image given here needs elaboration. But due to time restriction, we will hold on to it. And probably future course, I will focus on the images, analogy, metaphors, and the Vedic wisdom traditions, which enhances our comprehension and understanding. This ritual helps to reintegrate the broken world of chaotic multiplicity of existence to reform the cosmos. Fundamentally, very, very powerful idea behind the Yagna tradition. Reintegration, because during the Srishti, the differentiation and separation has taken place into different entities. We cannot see the unified whole. We cannot. So this yagna reconstructs the unified whole with all the essential elements of Adhyatmic, Adidevic, and Adibhautic elements. That's not enough. This reintegration also helps us sustain the forces of life and being against those of death and non-being. In a sense, Yagna is the universe in miniature. It's a prototype, just like a contemporary world of technology. We first make prototype smaller equivalent version of entity, then we learn from it and then enlarge it, expand it, innovate on it. So yagna is the universe in miniature. This is the thing we talked about and summarized here from the last lecture. Let's give you one wonderful, the real physical example of what we call Lokasamgraha Yogadharma. This is the honey bees and beehive. This is called the social life in Varna. I call it social life in Varna of the honey bee and the honey bees with beehive. Unit is hexagonal in shape, this one here shown. And from scientific point of view, it was hard to figure it out why they do this kind of a shape and size. Recent computational mechanics has unlocked this mystery. It was said this is the optimum size, optimum shape of the each unit cell that can store the maximum amount of honey within them with minimum amount of wax required. So this was a really optimization problem. The honeybees know how to do this optimization without being trained as a PhD in mathematics. They are not mathematicians, but how they do it as a mystery. We know from Vedic point of view, yes, it is a very natural for honeybee to eat because the honeybee contains is sarira as well as consciousness. Consciousness gives me the means and ideas to weave this kind of a hive. And there are three kinds of bees. Queen bee, which is a female, drones bees, which is a male, worker bee, which is a female. And what is so amazing, queen bees and worker bees are genetically identical, but they're in completely different form and function. Can you believe that? Many times people say, well, if you are identical genes, if you have, you must be having the same traits, same aptitude, same work habit. That's not out to be true under this condition and many other such conditions available in the natural world. So they do their own karmas. This is really what we call the varnashram vyavastha. If I can extrapolate to that idea. So the profound question we must be raising continuously, is it possibility of life's journey to be able to live an ordered, harmonious life, a happy and healthy life, a positive, creative life, a fulfilled, enlightened life, leading to joyful celebration of life? Is it possible? If we say yes, then how to organize the life's journey in time domain? It brings us another question: what karmas, karma yoga action needed to perform as a journey passes through different stages, meeting finally the ground of the absolute truth, which is the death of this body, followed by potential rebirth or the freedom from worldly trap, moksha. These are the fundamental questions. Based upon the empirical observations and worldly experience, there is a great diversity and plurality of intelligence, talents, aptitude, interests, personalities in general among the people. We are not ontologically absolutely equal in all these traits which are found in each of us. This brings us to the question of individual versus society dichotomy. So are there ways to recognize, categorize, and classify this field of dichotomy? In order to answer these questions, Rishi have designed a system, and these questions gave birth to what we call the fields, the kshetras known as Varnashram Yogadharma, Purusharth Yogadharma, Sanskar Yogadharma, Sanskritic Yogadharma, just to name a few. And we are going to dwell on each of those and briefly but importantly, and listing and discussing the fundamental idea. So the question is why they were designed so uniquely that none of the other civilizations did it. Because the rishis were raising the fundamental question, realizing the diversity and plurality of the world, how we can design our lifestyle, our journey with different milestones, different segments of time period to finally lead to what we call the moksha or jivan mukti while you are living in this world, going through this journey, celebrating the life. At the same time, you are jivan mukta, totally detached from the material world. These are the fundamental questions raised by ancient rishis, and they had a vision of designing these different dharma kshetra to let that happen. The journey continues. Let me give you some brief notes because I will be talking about different expressions and authentic terminology. So let me give you some brief notes and comparison. Many times, and you hear actually all the time, Indian culture, you never heard the term hardly or the Indian Sanskriti. So the culture has been translated on one-to-one terms as Sanskriti, or Sanskriti has been translated one-to-one as a culture, which is a fundamentally flawed. Culture is defined, if you look at any dictionary, including American Heritage Dictionary, the totality of socially transmitted behavior patterns of a people, a style of social and artistic expression peculiar to society or class, intellectual and artistic activity. Totality of socially transmitted behavior pattern. That's the culture. Sanskriti, not the totality of behavior patterns, not the totality of social and artistic expression, not the totality of intellectual artistic activities, but only those patterns, only those expressions, only those activities through manasa vani karmana that enrich, enhance total wellness of all human beings, non-human beings, natural world at all levels, individual, family, social, national, international, and cosmic level. Only those patterns and activities and thought patterns which enhance, which enrich our well-being of the total existence, only those are called Sanskriti. Rest of them are called Kusanskriti or Apsanskriti, opposite to Sanskriti. But they are all included in culture. So I will never translate Sanskriti as a culture. Sanskritic Yogadharma, that creates a Sanskritic Yogadharma, exterior Sanskritic patterns, behaviors, activities connected integrally, organically with interior sattvic field of human nature, leading toward the celebration of joyful living and eventually to Jivan Mukti. All Sanskritic patterns, all the festivities that we enjoy, all the sanskara we enjoy, all Kumbh Melas we carry out, dances we carry out, singing we carry out, all external manifestation of interior sattvic world is the field of Sanskriti. I call it Sanskritic Yogadharma. Sanskriti Yoga, just opposite the Sanskriti Yogadharma, leading to the tamasic field of human nature, suffering and bondage to hell. Concluding remarks, the field of Ajnana or nascence is so prevalent, and field of Jnana, Ajnana goes together. My dear listeners, using the equivalence indiscriminately as the Sanskriti's culture is a fundamentally flawed. Common slogan that you hear in the public and private life, all the way to Supreme Court, Hinduism means a way of life. You must hear this. You must have heard this. Hinduism means a way of life, and this is a meaningless and tragical statement. What way of life? What way of life is to be defined, and I have been defining this. Every ethnic group in the world has its own way of life. Even the Nazis, the communists, the criminal gangs, for example, also have their own ways of life. Can that be called the equivalent to Hindu wisdom or Hindu ways of life? So this statement, blind statement, is fundamentally flawed and very tragic and demeaning to the Vedic wisdom tradition. So I will request you to keep in mind. Please note the fundamental issues we have been talking about: Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. We looked at, talked about at length various aspects of the manifestation of the Sanatana Dharmic tradition. Let me go further deeper into defining more and more on the foundation of Sanatana Dharma. But before we, please note, this has become most misinterpreted, misunderstood, and polluted idea in the private and public domains. Its multidimensionality has been sunk and truncated. We always, when we talk about Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, we talk about Devi Devatas and Pujas. That's all we talk about. This is a truncated version. It has been blindly compared with the idea of religions. Consequently, because this comparison with religions or translating the Hindu Dharma tradition with the religions brings out new debates in the political domain. Dharma versus secularism, which is mutually antithetical. Secularism, pseudo-secularism in Indian context. No place that Dharma in the national domain. Dharma nirpeksh in the Indian constitution. The constitution maker could not decide what term they had to use, Dharma nirpeksh, which is fundamentally, I have discussed all these ideas in detail in the series of lectures, I think on the similar platform directed by Rajiv Barmaji. You can go back and look at those. It's a very damaging, demeaning word, Dharma nirpeksh. Indian Constitution. So when you use incorrect language and expression associated with incorrect cementing field, values and the meanings, then new questions will emerge, new dichotomy will emerge, new contradictions will emerge, new confusions will emerge. So that's why the language has to be precise, appropriate, context dependence, and that's why we offer prayers to Vat Devi, we offer prayers to Saraswati Devi. Just one contrasting note here. Religion, belief in or acknowledgements of superhuman power or powers, God or gods, which is typically manifested in obedience, reverence, and worship. Such a belief as a part of system-defining code of living, especially as a means of achieving spiritual material improvement. This is the really organized religion. Organized religion really has been compartmentalized into simply a few morals and belief in particular God, and fully no belief in rebirth, ni phenomena, regeneration of the universe only one time, no theory of karmic field, yogic field. None of these exist in the field of religions. Anyway, just a simple Oxford Dictionary definition here. What is Dharma Kshetra? I'm giving you very compressed file of the Dharma Kshetra. Then it will be expanded and extended to include various kind of dharmic principles. All orders, harmony, organic, unified diversity, duties, action, ethics, morals, yogic interaction, etc., at all the levels of organization, within the total existence, in all the domains, in all the layers, in all the dimensions, in the realms that include Adidevic, Adhyatmic, Adibhautic fields, dealing with the Prakriti, Purush, and Purushottam. Totality. And opposite to this whole field is, which is a contradictory dharma, antithetical dharma, is called the Adharma Kshetra. Let's define Sanatana Dharma in a way that will transcend these different divisions and different qualifications, different fields, and give us a kind of a unified viewpoint. First, we had to keep in mind the context is the fundamentally grounded idea in the Vedic wisdom tradition, starting all the way from Rig Veda. It will become clear when I give you the examples later on. And what do you mean by context? It has it's a ground with its own structure and context. That's how you define the context. Non-arbitrarily, it has a structure. This structure have contents. Second step, Sanatana Dharma is highly contextual dependent, which really becomes a quantum logic under modern scientific paradigms. It's just beautiful. It's just wonderful. That value and outcome, quantum logic means the value and outcome of a particular linguistic expression or the material experimentation depends upon what context you are making measurement of. In one context, for example, look at the light, visible light. In one context, this visible light acts as a particle. In another context, the visible light acts as a wave. So what is light? Visible light? Oh my goodness, this is wave as well as particle. What a wonder. This call is a quantum logic. Its value meaning may change drastically with the change in the context. Even to the extent the dharmic prescription in one context can become adharmic or vice versa. That's what the quantum logic is about. And it's built into all the way starting from Rig Veda. Sanatan means eternal. Within the existence and absence of existence, dharma stays. That's why I call eternal. Dharma Kshetra means a ground foundation consisting of identity matrix within a context, comprising the context, the content I talked about is defined like this: name, structure, properties, active potential, which is the karma, nutation, and internal as well as external time, which is called the Swabhava Kshetra, Swabhava Dharma Kshetra. All these 6 parameters combined together, contents combined together for a structure. And that structure gives us the meaning in terms of the context. So this is very important. This may appear to be a little more complicated to some of you, but it will become clear when we go and give examples. Dharma also means upholding, embodying the context with their values. These are different dimensions of the dharma. Usually there are more than one context for a given entity, and that translates to the presence of several dharmas. As a result, it becomes Dharma Kshetra. When you have plurality of defining the dharmas of one entity, you are talking about the Dharma Kshetra. Interrelationship, intersection between different dharmic kshetras. A relative ranking or value or priority can be ascertained among the dharmas. This is the structure of how do we define dharma and how we interact with dharma, how we ascertain the value to dharma, and we will talk about more. Let me give you a few examples here. In material world, for example, I picked up one example here. The first one, our food. An entity is, say, pizza. That's what we want to have. I want to have that particular kind of food. So, what is the context? Context is designing a recipe. What structure and what are the contents of this context? Proper ingredients, proper proportion of each one, and appropriate process. All must be known. Then what is the identity of the entity? Naam, Roop, name, form, size, texture, smell, aesthetic value, and taste. This totality, when the final product comes out as a pizza, this totality is Swadharma of the pizza. Please notice, selecting the ingredients and process of and making is a Jnana Vijnana Karma Yoga. Enjoying it while eating is a Rasa Yoga, and eating itself is a Yajna Yoga. So in material world, if I say, define the religion of pizza, oh my goodness, you will say, are you a person of any senses? It's a nonsense. This very much question is nonsense. But no, it in the dharmic tradition, in the material world, no. Each and every entity, material or non-living material, from elementary particles to the galaxies, to all the living beings, to all the divine beings, to all aspects, have their own dharma, swadharma. Question. Can the property, including taste, be determined by knowing all the relevant properties of its ingredients as well as process? That's a fundamental question, which is being raised for last 10 years in the core of scientific discipline, in physics, in chemistry, in biology. Can we know, here I'm giving you an example, can we know the taste by simply knowing the properties of the material, ingredients? Yes or no? Two answers. The answer is no. Why? This is called the emergent phenomena. And this phenomena is called the yogic integration phenomena. Whole entity is more than sum of its parts. This is a new paradigm in new science, getting more and more powerful and prevalent in the field of sciences. You must be aware of, which really is the, if you're asking proper question to field of dharma, you will be also talking about, when you answer this question, emergent phenomena. Another approach is called reductionism. The parts can be assembled, integrated to predict the properties of the whole. It means whole entity, sum of its parts. This paradigm has limited validity and is failing in the field of sciences. Yogic body is more than physical body or its components. In fact, even physical bodies more than its components, its organs. If all organs, you join them together, the body is more than all the elements, all the organs together. And this is what we have to understand. If you go back and look at your own life in all entities around you, material, non-material, relationship, everything, you will be able to discover this phenomena. And this phenomena is very much foundational doctrine of the Vedic wisdom tradition. Look at another example in the material world. Water. I have categorized Adi Bhautik Yogadharma Kshetra, all the material world I have categorized in this categories. For example, look at the water. It is hydrogen molecule, oxygen molecule, and combining these together becomes a water molecule. Hydrogen molecule has its own dharma kshetra. Oxygen molecule has its own dharma kshetra, its own quantum structure. Water molecule, when they're joined together, this I call yogic process, not simply addition, but yogic process. New material emerges, new entity comes out of it, and it has its own dharma kshetra. This is very important. If I ask you the same question by knowing quantum structure of hydrogen molecule and oxygen molecule, can we predict the properties, all the properties of water under all conditions? Absolutely no. This is the contemporary answer from scientific discipline. No, cannot do it. No matter how much AI works with it, no matter how many computers you join together in parallel way, you provide the highest computational power. No, this cannot be done unless the modeling can be done. You have to know intermediate levels of organization. New phenomena, new principles are generated as soon as two entities come together in a yogic integration. So we are going to, with these, this is the all part of the Yogadharma Kshetra. Whenever you are talking about a Yogadharma Kshetra, any field of knowledge, any field of knowledge, that we are going to raise these questions, the profound questions here. Yogadharma Kshetra, this field pervades the entire existence, from micro world to macro world, like the Akshar Char Brahman. From micro world to galactic world, galaxies or planets, all everything. This deals with every entity, divine human being, human being, other living entities, as well as natural world, including the material world. This Dharma Kshetra is the foundational ground for the existence. And the existence is the foundational ground for Dharma Kshetra. Oh my goodness. It's so wonderful. This is a kind of a paradoxical statement may sound to use, but this is the really crux of the very depth of the foundation of the existence. Dharma. Dharma is the ground for existence. Existence came out of the dharmic field. After the Srishti, Dharma exists within the Srishti. So for sustenance of Srishti, this also is dharmic field. The source is Dharma, and once the entity has taken birth, then Dharma re-establishes itself in the Srishti. This field is dynamic, not static, complex, complicated, with layers, levels, and dimensions. What are the profound questions? How to classify and categorize, define such all-pervading Kshetra? In any field of modern contemporary experiences, you will find you had to categorize and classify different activities. How to define each of the entities within each of these purport categories. How to identify, characterize equivalences, homologies between different layers, levels, and dimensions. These three questions are profound questions which help us to understand the existence, contemporary world, whether you're talking about legal profession, whether you're talking about the business profession, scientific profession, whether you're talking about the interrelationship, personal life, professional life, no matter what field you are talking about, psychology, sociology, oh my goodness, from anthropology to zoo, A through Z, you have to ask these questions, and then based on the answers, you have wide variety of categorization, wide variety of classification. They did not come arbitrarily. So I am trying to define, and I am trying to categorize, classify, and these are all new dimensions, which are not, you will not hear about them, you will not read about them. They have to be through yogic meditation process on the Sabda Brahma, on the ideas, on the Dharma Kshetra, they have to emerge from there. So the one is I have defined here, foundational category. Srishti Yogadharma Kshetra, sustenance Yogadharma Kshetra, dissolution Yogadharma Kshetra, creation of divine loka, human loka, non-human living entities, physical material loka, that's the Srishti Yogadharma Kshetra. Sustenance of the entire existence, sustenance Yogadharma Kshetra. Dissolution of the entire existence, dissolution Yogadharma Kshetra. Please note, Dharma is not a religion. All religions are saying an utterly false and profoundly dangerous statement. I can within the Srishti Yogadharma then, for example, within the Sthiti Yogadharma, for example, in those fields, this This diagram gives you a much visible picture. Adhyatmic Yoga Dharma Chet, Adi Bhautik Dharma Chet, Adi Devik Dharma Chet, and Bhagavad Yoga Dharma Chet. This is the part of Sanatan Yoga Dharma Chet. So in the Srishti Yoga Dharma Chet and Sthiti Dharma Yoga Chet, these are the another subset of classification that define all the activities, and we can integrate, and we have overlapping, and we will be talking about these as we go along. So, for example, initially, preliminary, what is Adidevik Dharma Chet? Devata Chet. Divinity live, all the Devata live within us as the center of sources, cognition, emotional centers. Also, Devata lives outside, out of this body. Adhyatmic Chetra, Antahakarana Chetra, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar Chetra, Chetra. This is Adhyatmic Dharma Chetra. Adi Bhautik Dharma Chetra, physical, biological body, body at the genetic molecular level, causal body, Sarira, also the material world. These are the three different Chetra. Within the Srishti Chetra and Sthiti Chetra. And here again, what is the human Sarira? Atman plus Prakriti. This is the yogic union. And again, to remind you, Dharma Chetra, Adharma Chetra are always together. Their overlapping intersective region in the middle depends whether Adharma has a dominating feature, or if this is less and less and less, then Dharma has a dominating feature. But they're always there. Disorder, order, disharmony, harmony. Asat, Sat. You can simply a process of Dharma Chetra, a process of Yoga Dharma Chetra, various categories through which you can minimize the Dharma to become situated in the Dharma. So here, let's move on this. Yogic Dharma Chetra, this is not a religion. And let's look at the individual as human being. And this is the representation of through A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These are the concentric circles I have drawn for the sake of visualization of different Chetra. A is the individual Yoga Dharma Chetra. B is the family Yoga Dharma Chetra. C is the group Yoga Dharma Chetra. D is the social Yoga Dharma Chetra. Then national Yoga Dharma Chetra, international Yoga Dharma Chetra, Bhur Bhuva Swaha Yoga Dharma Chetra, and beyond. Corresponding to these Chetra, there are also Kuyoga Adharma Chetra or Kudharma Chetra. Opposite to them, contradictory to them, antithetical to them. Now, each of these categories had their own Yoga Dharma Chetra. A, B, C, D, E, F, each one has their own Dharma Chetra. An individual is going to play, is going to deal with all these Dharma Chetra as much as one can deal. And you will find out there may be conflict, contradiction, paradoxes. This is very complicated, complex existence. And we all experience this kind of a trial and trouble, this kind of a contradiction, this kind of a dilemma when you move from sphere A to B to C to D. Oh my goodness. It becomes, each of the domain has its own Dharma Chetra. There is normally an overlapping region between the two adjacent domains. They may have elements that may pervade all the domains. And there appears to be internal contradiction, conflict, paradoxes within each of the domains, as well as in between domains. Real challenge arises us how to resolve them, or transcend them, or reaching their limits leading to breakdown. And we will be talking about these aspects as we go along. Please note, real life examples will be discussed in this journey. All these categorization, this is not the, I have given you broader themes, broader classification, categorization. But then you have subcategorization, and other one last some of us that these are the subcategorization under these broader themes. And if I want to represent pictorially a three-dimensional picture, this is the what we call the Aswat Vraksha. All the branches, all the leaves, all kinds of roots. That's the Vraksha concept is a very important, powerful, even under contemporary experiences. When you talk about the flow chart, flow diagram, when you interconnect different layers within the what you call the entity of the business entities, business structure, all kinds of structure. They can be represented more appropriately through bringing in the image of a tree. And what I will, since the time is running out, so what I would suggest, I will leave this note here, and these prayers, all will recite this prayer together. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejastu Navadhitamastu Ma Vidusavahi. Om Santi 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 Hari Om. In next lecture, we are going to go to subcategories, Varnashram Yogadharma. We are going to Purusharth Yogadharma, Sanskriti, and so on. So first, in this lecture and earlier lecture, we gave you the big picture, the fundamental foundational ideas and thoughts. Now we will be see how they are translated into and mapped out into the real life experiences and real life designs and the real life journeys. Thank you so much. I bow down to all of you for coming together and listening to these discourses full of wisdom, wonder, beauty, and paradoxes. Thank you so much. Now we are ready for some questions if you have some. Thank you so much.
If anybody has any question, they can raise the hand and then go ahead. Rajiv ji, please go ahead.
नमस्कार जी.
नमस्कार जी. नमस्कार जी.
अच्छा लगा ये total defining about the Hindutva dharma, then different dependency, and then after the kshetra, different kshetra, starting from say your inner to the outer and the universe and the cosmos, what we are means experiencing as on today's everybody's life. Now coming to just to analyzing point of view, because we are whatever we are experiencing, not experiencing basically, what we are discussing basically, it is in English language. I think in English language, the wordings, the perceptions, the analytical approach, when it is not closer to the Hindu related things, how we are really justifying to define the things in a English language. Obviously, it is out of the context what we are discussing right now. I am just giving you or I am taking one example, like you have explained the Hindutva and the way of life. These definition is it's not a correct definition. Hindutva, it is not a way of life. Am I right?
Yes, that's what we talked about. It's not the way of life. This statement is a fundamentally flawed statement. A way of life to achieve what? That's very important. Way of life to achieve enlightened society, enlightened individual, harmony and the interconnectivity with all the existence at every level. That way of life is the Hindu way of life, not every way of life. So this is a very, blind and meaningless statement if you simplify the way of life. Even actually, this statement is so common, so popular, and it has even gone to the minds of justices of the Supreme Court. They say, "Oh, Hindu way of life, that's a way of life." I don't know what you're really talking about. Any rules, regulations. If we look at the legal profession, if you look at any legal doctrines, you simply cannot say, well, it is the way of life. It is the way of, no. There are definitive understanding and ideas behind any legal doctrine. The second question you raised, wonderful question. What I prefer that you might have been seeing in my all the lectures for last years and several years in this lecture as well. If you want to translate one technical Sanskrit term, you have to then use lot of English terms, equivalent English terms. One-to-one translation is fundamentally wrong in English. So when you can use lot of English language, that's what I've been using, but I will always use the technical terminology of Sanskrit language, which embodies the original idea and concept, and how does it manifest in the world, in our personal life. This is how for example, I will never use the religion for Hindu tradition. I will use religions and madhab for others. I will use Hindu dharma, Vedic dharma. Always I use the term dharma. We must always use dharma. Atman is Atman, not the souls at all. I have discussed and I presented these papers in other conferences and also in talk, fundamental differences. And so this is the question you raised is very fundamental, as it is not only simply a question of understanding in another language. The Sanskrit language is very unique as compared to many other languages. No other language compares with the Sanskrit language. What happened when you think in the other language, for example, English language is very pervading in India or many in the worldwide. When you think through English language, you talk through English language, linguistic expression, your cognitive structure becomes different.
Correct.
Okay. As a result, there is a change and shifting in the cognitive structure. Then you cannot comprehend easily the cognitive structure created by the Sanskrit language and expressions. So very difficult. I tell you one example. One example. There are, thousands of many niti. Term niti योग बना हुआ आपने यहाँ. नीति आती है. यत्र योगेश्वर कृष्णो यत् पार्थो धर्म क्षेत्र से शुरू होता है भगवत गीता और नीति पर एंड होता है. नीति शब्द, the niti word, it is the one of the books what he called Panchatantra, translated in 1920 by Professor Ryder. He writes in his introduction warning to the audience in the Western thinking process. He said, no, be careful about the translations, because even a word like niti, equivalent one word does not exist in Greek, Latin, German, or English language. Does not exist. They don't have a sense of niti.
Then you think whatever we are discussing, then again it will become a one more illusion, like how what you understood and you want to explain in English, and I am listening to you and I am understanding of myself with my experiences, with my past wisdom, maybe in a different what you call it, a label, and it may never reaches the way you are
Yeah, that's a good thing. There is always disconnect. What you have to do, if you try to cognize, understand, and comprehend the Vedic worldview, like Dharma Kshetra, you had to delve deeply into your personality and the ideas embedded in that tradition. And then you can, so when I say something in English, you will immediately recognize. You will immediately recognize. This is a different language which has its own limitations, but if you have not delved into your own tradition deeply enough, and in fact, in your own experiences, you have not looked at your own experiences by yourself for yourself, then you will not be able to really comprehend and understand the different language and different translations. So the best part I suggest to all the individuals, please examine your life by yourself for yourself. This is called the Swadhyaya Yoga. We will be coming back when we talk about the Rena, Panch Rena. We'll talk about the Swadhyaya Yagna. Swadhyaya means study yourself by yourself for yourself. What does it mean? Sit down once a week, 10, 15, 20 minutes in a private place. No distractions, no sound, nothing. Close your eyes and see throughout this week, what did I do? Why did I do what I did? What is I feel like I could have done better? Why did not I do better? If you analyze what kind of ideas with respect to Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh, Irsa, Dvesh, all these adharmic entities sitting within each of us, Antahakaran, what role did they play? If at all. And this is called the Swadhyaya. You cannot simply, if you simply meditating on Atman, then you will miss all this. That's a very elevated, highest stage you want to, but you want to simply your cognitive and emotional structure. Did I hear something wrong to somebody? Could I have said it differently? So this is the very important. For example, let me give you one example. People come back home from office and they can use, okay, could I have a cup of tea together? क्या एक साथ हम चाय बिस्किप कर सकते हैं? एक तो ये लैंग्वेज हुई. दूसरी लैंग्वेज, हम जब आते हैं तो हमें चाय मिलती नहीं है. एक ये लैंग्वेज. और तीसरी, तुम्हें चाय बनाना नहीं आती तो हम अब कहाँ चाय, हम तो चाय पी के आए हैं. See how the language for the same activity, having a cup of tea, the different languages can be used. And as a result, what happened? They create within yourself a different framework, different experience, and the person that you're talking to a different experience. And that leads up to not the harmony and love, but it traps actually dejection. It led to the fight. It may lead to different kind of abnormal family life. It means it becomes the adharmic. What language? So think about what language did I use? What tone I use? Hey, chai bana lo. Ye ki tone ho gayi. This is the dharmic tone. This is the detrimental tone in relationship within you and others around you. You say, kya chai banayenge ya? See, the same entity, same action I want, but the language and tone we use. This is the aspect of Vakdevi. When harmony and wonder and beauty, when love and care emerges out of your language, the expression, your tone, that is the dharmic kshetra. And if the opposite happens, that's the adharmic kshetra. So I strongly recommend and request everyone, do your own analysis. Think about yourself, for yourself, for yourself, for yourself, once a week, and then you will see within a year, you will see a big difference in the personality, how to deal with you, how to deal with others, and what kind of internal transformation has taken place for your own good. Because whatever you're doing, you are reaching from swadharma to swadharma. So it's not you are favoring somebody, you're obliging somebody, but you are really obliging yourself. You are giving favor to yourself. Thank you, Rajiv. We will talk later on. Any other question? I think somebody. Any other comment, any other question, my dear friends? Please go back to the Shruti will give you all the information on the course, googlecourse.com, I guess. Yes, and go back there and you will be able to see all that had been posted on there, including all the lectures, all the ideas that we discussed over here. Go through them and you can write your question, comment right on this website. And then I will be able to look back and answer those questions. Thank you so much. Again, I bow down to all of you. You are so beautiful and wonderful. If there are no further questions, we can really stop it. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, Professor.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, Sutiji, you can start.